Fishful Thinker Television, brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Toyota Trucks, moving forward. Hewlett Packard, Vent. St. Croix Rods, handcrafting fishing rods for over 60 years. Williams Fork Reservoir here in Colorado. We're out pike fishing. It's going to be what, the end of October? It's middle of October now. You get lost in these things. Joined today by Stephanie Zielinski. We're lucky to have her. Joining us in the boat today. We're going to have fun today. We're going to try to catch some pike. We're going to try to catch possibly some lake trout. We might catch some big giant trout. There's no telling. As always here on Fishful Thinker, lots of big baits. We got some big baits working today. Big husky jerk over there, big jerk bait on mine. See if we can catch the biggest pike. Fall of the year is a good time to do it. Mrs. Linsky, looking forward to it.
I am too. Lots of fun.
Yeah, so we'll see. We're going to start working around an inlet area of the lake because we have kokanee salmon that are staging up in here. We think the pike potentially will be feeding on those, so we're going to start working around the inlet with big giant baits and see if we can get one. Go fish. So we're at a lake I've never been to before, and so before I rig all my rods for watercolor I've never seen or wind conditions I don't know what to expect or water depths, all I did was set all my rods up with basic setup that I know I'm going to need to tie the specific baits on, but I didn't go pick my specific crankbait or I didn't go pick my specific jerkbait until I got to the lake, and that's because I want to match my conditions. All right, so we've got the rare treat of our first lady angler in the boat, and we're happy to have you. But that would be kind of a big assumption for folks to make, that just because we've got a lady in the boat that we don't have somebody that's top shelf. Now, for folks that don't know, you got the fancy shirt.
I do have a fancy shirt.
What's your background?
You know, actually, just because I have a fancy shirt on doesn't really mean I know everything about fishing.
You don't have to know everything.
I've actually just been really involved within the last few years of this fishing industry. My husband got me involved, and he's been on the boat with you before, Nathan Zielinski, and he's the one who got me into it. And so I'm kind of new to the sport, but I've actually learned a lot. And fishing with other people like you and a few of Nathan's other buddies, I think that I've learned a lot. And I can come out here, but you know, it doesn't matter how good you are. The fish can always be a little smarter. So.
Yeah, that's the truth. Being humble, she also fishes professional walleye tournaments with her husband as a teammate for one of the few husband and wife teams. So that's pretty neat, you know. And my wife fishes, of course, as well, but not quite to the level I think that you do. So, but that's all right. We're out here to have a good time today. We'll see what we can catch.
Yeah.
All right, so we know we got a serious fisherman in the boat right now, because first thing she did is make fun of the size of my net, which is just not something you generally do. And then she's got this thing out like there's muskies in here. Jeez.
You never know.
Should be fun.
There's a state record is what I heard.
I like your enthusiasm. Pike right here. All right, we have made contact with the enemy. We got us a little pike right here on the jerkbait, and it's really windy, and we're having to hide from the wind to film the show, and that is not something we generally like to do, staying out of the wind. I always prefer to stay in the wind if at all possible and fish, but oh buddy, here's see if we can turn him back in there. Well done with my puny little net. Thank you, Mrs. Zielinski.
Just set him down?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get a hold of him here gracefully here. All right. Now that is what we came to catch. I'm gonna grab these pliers right here. Now he ain't quite as big as some of them we're hoping to catch, but I'll tell you what, the way things are going this morning, it's a good fish to have. We'll get that jerkbait out of his face here. Get a hold of this fish. Now that is a perfect example of what we're looking for. He may not be, we can get him in the water here real quick. And we're gonna get him reviving real quick, because we're hoping for a lot bigger one than that today. There he goes. Woo, that's a good start. We have made contact. It goes to show you, you know, we're hiding from the wind, and I'm never a fan of hiding from the wind when it comes to fishing. We don't have a lot of choice because we're trying to film here, and so you got my knuckles there. Be careful about that with pike, and I'm no pike expert, but believe me. But because we're hiding from the wind a little bit, we're not fishing some places we might otherwise like to fish. You can see we're in a little bit sheltered area. The wind's blowing hard. It is fall in the Rockies. We'll keep after them. See, generally speaking, I'd rather be on the windiest banks rather than the sheltered banks like this, but microphones get too loud for that. So thanks for your most excellent net job. And
nice work, nice
see if
work.
we can get another one. Whoo!
Right on.
Okay, working the jerkbait. Jerkbait's near and dear to me. Probably my favorite technique day in and day out. We got a windy bank right here. Jerkbait will work with everything from pike like we just caught, all the way to trout and bass and walleyes and everybody else. So we'll keep working this bank with a jerkbait. I've got it on braided line, changing the cadence up a little bit. Got a little 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. A lot of people think that you need to have steel with pike, but I know you guys guide without any leaders at all, right?
Right, no leaders.
No leaders at all.
Mono.
They got big teeth, no doubt, but only if they get your stuff all the way in their mouth. So with a big jerkbait like this, not a lot of chance that you're gonna have a problem with it. So we've got a 30-pound strand fluorocarbon leader on there, and I've got 15-pound Spywire Ultracast. Same jerkbait setup that you've probably seen on Fishful Thinker several times. Fish. Fish. All right, take your time, take your time. Fish!
Oh no, doubles.
Nice. Nice, double hookup at the same time here. Now is when you wish you had a bigger, oh, she's got a monster pike. Oh! She's got a monster pike on. I just got a little fella right here.
Dang.
Compared to that one that she just lost, but and I got him hooked on the side of the head. Okay, he's coming up here. Well done with my puny net. And he's unhooked. All right.
Man. Well, good job, you
done.
landed. Mine doesn't count.
Had the double going. Let this guy calm for a minute here, and I'll get this plug out of the net and get the dangerous part. The pikes are dangerous, but they're not near as dangerous as this plug in terms of some things. So let's get a hold of him gracefully here, buddy. Hang on, we're gonna be nice to you.
Yeah, don't stick your fingers in there.
Nice as we can. Now, we had a double, and the big one got away. This is always the story. I am smooth, I'll tell you what, folks. One of the most important tools that any angler can have in their boat is quality electronics. But how do you decide on whether or not you have quality electronics or not? There's a couple of key features you can look for when purchasing them. First and foremost, wattage. There is no substitute for wattage. The peak-to-peak wattage on the unit will determine how strong of a signal it sends to the bottom and subsequently how much detail comes back to the unit. Second of all is pixel count. You want a high pixel count like this. A lot of pixels lead to a lot of detail. Make very easy target separation on the screen. Third is color versus black and white. A color unit's easy to see, it's easy to interpret, it's very easy to see in bright sun as well. So color units definitely hold an advantage in that regard. And lastly, is it GPS capable? Will this unit do GPS as well as sonar? That will make a big difference as well. GPS and sonar together gives you the best of both worlds. As with every Fishful Thinker episode you've probably ever seen, hopefully you've seen some of them, but as with all the episodes of Fishful Thinker, we try to establish a pattern. We want to know a set of circumstances that we can duplicate. It's not just what type of bait, how deep are the fish, what's their relation to the lake in terms of main lake points versus coves versus secondary points. Do they want sandy gravel like we just caught this one off of, or this big cobblestone that's like behind us? So Stephanie here's husband is a world famous fishing guide, Nathan Zielinski from Thailand Outfitters. He's got a good saying. His saying is 1 fish is a fluke, 2 fish is a theory, and 3 fish is a pattern. So at this stage of the game, we haven't caught enough fish to establish a pattern, but rest assured, we will be looking at these main lake points with sand on them to see if they'll hold there for sure. Now, I've never been to this lake, and you never been to this lake recently. Now, you've been here once before, but bottom line, neither one of us really had a clue when we got out here what was going to happen. So what we did, both of us are field editors for fishexplorer.com, and basically there's lots of websites out there. That happens to be the one that we work with. little online research, looked at some aerial photos, looked at some wind and weather forecast, looked at some stocking reports, looked at some lake conditions, water levels, whether the water's moving up and down. Obviously it's falling some here today, probably keeping some of the fish off the flats. But bottom line is by getting on the internet, doing some basic research, using some book skills and book knowledge that says basically what pike should be doing this time of year, which largely is feeding, which is good if you're going to go pike fishing.
Right.
But they should have some relation to the flats, but immediate access to deep water as well, and that's generally where we found them. It just makes sense that you can put together some good information before you get there. And see, just a little bit of cover right here, not much to it, but a little tiny mudslide on the bank right there, and bang, 2 of them right there. We're just commenting, and we have in every Fishful Thinker show we've ever filmed that anything different on the bank, if you're fishing for fish that are not pelagic, anything different on the bank has potential to hold fish, any kind. This is the whole bank's all stable, and there's one section where it mudslide, 2 of them sitting right in front of it. Fish. Oh, it's a nice one too.
Oh my, is this net big enough?
Baby.
All right.
He just hung right there. We knew. Oh, buddy, that's a good one.
You called it.
Either that or he's foul hooked, but whatever it is, it's big, and you don't think he even really knows he's hooked. It might be foul hooked. All right, we're gonna soften the drag a little bit because we don't know. Whatever he is feels really big or he's foul hooked, and I don't know which. He doesn't feel very intelligent.
Oh, nice.
It's a nice one. Oh, it's a hog. Hang on, let's make sure he's cold. This is a nice one, and he ate that bait the wrong way.
Yeah,
he's gonna break off. I'm gonna donate a jerk bait here in just a second. Oh. He absolutely ate the bait. Okay, get ready. We're gonna net him on the next opportunity. Yeah. No problem. He's not exactly making me a next opportunity.
He's not making it easy for you.
He's going to break off for sure. There's no way he's not going to break off. There's no way. He's got that bait all the way in his mouth, and I have no steel leader. I got 30-pound string fluorocarbon on here. And
nice one. Nice fish. Hopefully it doesn't get up in your...
Okay, come on. He's right under the boat, right there. There we go. Oh, yes, well done. Yeah, hang on.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Oh, nice one. There we go. Got him on the grippers there. Nice big fatty. Well done, Mrs. Lewinsky. What a fish.
Look at the color in his fins.
Beautiful colors on him.
Healthy, real healthy.
Big, fat, beautiful Williams Fork pike. They get bigger than that, but that was pretty dang exciting on that jerk bait. To make sure he gets some air here. Keep him in the water here. These Berkeley grippers work real good for this. Keep my fingers out of his teeth. Look at that thing. Beautiful fish.
Just gorgeous.
Woo! Thank you very much.
Very
beautiful
nice.
net, John. All right, we're
Great
gonna let this one go here. Hang on, buddy.
See, you'll be a pike master in no time.
So we're getting our pattern a little bit more refined here. We're finding out they like these gravelly rock banks. We've got all the fish we've got bites on so far. We've got 4 bites, so we're past Nate's the fluke in theory, and we're on to pattern, so that's a good sign. They seem to like this mix of gravel and this broken rock. You can see the bank behind me. He's got some broken rock on it. Gives them some cover. I think more importantly for the pike, it's probably creating some crayfish or some feeding activities for some other fish maybe. And you know, Stephanie here brought up a good point, and that was both of our last couple of bites have occurred right when the sun peeked out from behind the clouds. So it may be these pike are liking a little bit of light penetration in the water. I know smallmouth do that all the time. It's very common for smallies to bite when either the sun goes down or comes out, one or the other, from behind the clouds, and usually it's when the sun comes out. We got another one in the same spot. That is why you pattern fish right there. I mean, this is, I'm 20 feet from where I caught one 2 hours ago. He bit the same bait, the sun's out, he's fitting the pattern absolutely perfect, and look at him flash down there as the boat drifts by. Beautiful. Another one on the jerk bait, as I like to say. Jerk bait strikes again.
Ready?
This one's a little smaller. Yeah, let's go ahead and get him in the boat before he thrashes our tackle. Nicely done,
right.
Mrs. Zielinski.
You know I'm a
Once
professional.
again, you have done it. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
You're welcome. Nice work.
Beautiful. You know, you stick to the details. We figured out the rock,
Same
we figured out the
spot.
type of spot they want, we figured out the presentation they want. We came back over and guess what? They bit again. So thinking inside the box on this one. Whoo, we got him. Now, this is not the biggest pike I've ever seen, but that's okay. You know, we on Fishful Thinker, we're always preaching about the fact that it's not about the size of the fish, it's about the experience. I've never been to this lake. I am no expert pike fisherman, unlike our guest, and that's no giant, but I can tell you what, it works perfect. The pattern is clicking just like it's supposed to. Gorgeous fish. Now all we need is a giant, but absolutely beautiful. These little Berkeley grippers work real good for that, and beautiful, beautiful fish. Let's get him back in the drink here in Williams Fork. Nice fall pike. He's got feeding to do before he can get it fat for winter. So, yeah, what a pretty fish. We let him go, Stephanie?
Yeah, I think so. Give him a
right.
couple years. Grow up, little guy.
Let him grow up. All right, we'll do just that here. All right, so, you know, triggering pike to bite is half of the battle. They're a major predator, and triggering their bite instinct is a big part of the battle. What do you guys look for, you and your husband, what do you guys look for triggering them? What do you consider?
You know, a lot of times it's not so much the triggering. There's a difference between catching the pike here in Colorado and catching the pike up in Canada. Up in the big waters in Canada, you know, those pike have several different other predatory species chasing after the same bait that they are, so they're not the only predators in the lake, whereas here in Colorado there's really nothing that's going to go after a pike except another pike. So what we look for a lot of times is when we're casting out our bait, we're looking for the pike. Most likely they're probably going to hit on the pause. When you're casting out, you're jerking it, you let it pause, then you jerk it again, you let it pause. They're probably going to hit on that pause because they don't really have to attack it right away. They can kind of take their time.
Take their time.
And that's kind of what we look for, is we're waiting for that pause, but you also got to be quick on the trigger to set the hook when that happens. Now, just like an alligator, what's going to happen is they're going to come up on that lure, and once they do the strike, if you don't have your bait right, then a lot of times, or if you're putting too much pressure, say you're pumping your rod too much, they're gonna start rolling, and they're gonna start flapping their tail just like an alligator, and then there goes your bait. So what you really want to do is when you do hook up with, regardless of any pike, especially a big one, is definitely just handle them with care. You know, bring them in calm and relaxed. Don't try and just pump the rod, and you got to definitely.
You know, we
get
got a
'em in.
lesson in that fishing with your husband. Everything I learned as a saltwater angler growing up is you pump up and then you reel down, and then you pump and then you reel.
You got to kick that habit.
He threatened to slap me in the back of my noggin if I pumped that rod one more
Yep.
time, fighting a big pike. Now I
We're
am
gonna sit here, and as he pumps, I'm gonna slap his hand.
That's the biggest pike that I have personally ever caught. Thanks again, Mr. Zielinski, for that.
I'm fortunate enough to have my husband, who is a fishing guide, so his job is to teach people how to fish or take people fishing every day. He's very patient and very kind when it comes to his words when he chooses to talk to me about, you know, trying to kind of basically bring himself down to my level, because I am still somewhat new. I still ask questions every day, but I think that with, you know, when we have women on our boat, on our trips, they will outfish their husbands or boyfriends hands down every time, because they listen better and they really want to learn, and they're not too proud to ask questions, which is the biggest
There you
thing.
go. As far as I'm concerned, those two things right there. They listen better and they're not too proud to ask questions. You put those two together, and I don't care if you're learning fishing, golf, or you know, whatever, that's the way to learn, is to listen and ask questions. I can tell you that I got in the boat with your husband and I listened and asked lots of questions, because that's not a style of fishing that I'm strong at. Pike are not my strength. Trolling is absolutely not my strength. And so he was very, very specific. He's got very detailed patterns and very precise presentations that he uses. And big fish! Holy cow, he's just fixing to move to a new spot, and now I got a big one. Oh, buddy. This one just came up, and he's just staying right below the boat.
My goodness.
And I don't want to lean on him too much.
Any time to fish.
No, man, he's going down, and he don't like my bait. Gave it a little pause right here. We're actually just fixing to move, thinking that maybe we got a little farther off there. Oh, this is a hog too, guys. And we're right out here in open water. He's got nowhere to go but down, and that's where he's going. Look at this. Straight down he goes. Oh, he wants out of here. Now, the braided line is really, oh, that's a nice one too. The braided line's really unforgiving when it comes to close to the boat. So having the drag nice and smooth is really important, because with a fish this big, if he surges, we're in trouble this close to the boat. And I'm thinking he's not gonna like the net. And I'm furthermore thinking my net isn't big enough. All right. Oh, I'll keep the line tight on him.
Got it?
Yep, got it. Thank
right.
you. Woo! Beautiful, beautiful fish. Let's put him back. Let him go. He's got fall feeding to do here. We'll let him go real gentle and see what he does here. He's going to hang tight there for a minute. I think he's going to sound here in just a second.
Just gotta relax a little.
There he goes.
Oh, and he's gone.
Right back to the bottom. Outstanding. Mrs. Linsky.
Hey, very nice work. I did
Been a
nothing.
pleasure.
You did awesome.
It's fun. Between you and your husband, I could fish with these guys a lot. I've caught more pike fishing with these two than I have the rest of my life put together.
It was
So,
a lot of fun. Good day.
bottom line, we came out, we worked at establishing a pattern, we paid attention to the details, we got that pattern put together, and now we're able to visit spots and get them to go again. So, caught plenty of fish today. It's been fun. Weather's kind of cold. It's going to blow in on us, probably snow tonight.
Yeah, that's what we're expecting. So.
Generally a good time to fish though,
Yep,
right? Falling
right before
pressure here in the fall, a good time to fish. So it's been outstanding, and we want to thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
getting
Thank
up
you for inviting me. This has been a lot of fun.
3 o'clock in the morning to come fishing
Yeah.
with us and drive across Colorado, and
Anytime.
but it's
worth
been
it.
great fun. So thanks for watching Fishful Thinker, and we hope to see you next week.
It was a happy feeling, but you weren't sure if he was going to stay on or not.
No, I didn't know for sure. I
You
thought
got
for
him.
sure I was going to donate that jerkbait.
Got it back. It's a lucky one.
Oh man, he wrecked my top. That's why you're supposed to wear gloves. That's only from one pike. Got the top of this knuckle, the back of that knuckle, and the top of that one. I'm a serious professional pike fisherman, as you can